Hello, everybody. It is Prime Day coming up this week on July 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. It's all this week coming up, and there are some crazy deals for Prime Day, whether you're a content creator, filmmaker, or you just heavily use a computer, Apple computer, whatever computer for work. I think most of us do. There's some really great deals this year for Prime Day. So, what I did the past few days is I assembled what I saw were the best deals for anyone who's in that. So we have everything. I have links to everything in the description below, and they're in order on how I'm going to talk about them today so you can follow along. So just to let you all know, I do have my computer right here in front of me, and we are live doing this today, so I can pull everything up on the screen and talk to you all about it at the same time. So today we're going to talk about a bunch of different products. Every product in today's video at minimum is going to be $30 off, but there are a lot of products that are closer to $100 off. Some of them are just over $100 off. So there are some pretty decent deals here today. And I would say about 60% of them are like camera type stuff. 40% of them are for computers. But I think if you're working in the video industry, you're a videographer, filmmaker, content creator, you're going to be working with computers anyways. So a lot of this stuff you should definitely pay attention to, because there's some great deals on a lot of stuff that I use on an everyday basis. And I actually have some of the stuff sitting here next to me so I can pull it up as we talk about it. So just to give you a sneak peek of what we're talking about today, we're going to be talking about memory. So SD cards, CFexpress Type A cards, CFexpress Type B cards. We're going to be talking about tripods, gimbals, backpacks in travel cases. If you're a professional, you need Pelican cases, whatnot. There are some deals on those today as well. We have camera filters, VND filters from companies like NiSi. We have lighting. We have cameras. Now, no like crazy high-end cameras, but there are cameras for sale this year that I think a lot of you will be interested in. We have audio. We have SSDs. We have storage media. Now, there's a difference between SSD and storage media. I'll get to there when we get to that point in a bit. We have monitors. There's some decent monitor deals that are affordable. Then there's also some portable monitor deals as well. There's a few Apple products. I only picked 3 that had the best deals. There's a lot of deals, but some of them, it's only a few dollars off. So I just wanted to cover the ones that had the best deals. And then teleprompters, whatever. So I wanted to give you all an overview of what we get into so you kind of know what the deals are. If you're interested in anything that I spoke about, then you'll be really happy about today's deals. So let's go ahead and let's pull up one of the first ones right here. Let me get everything sorted. Sorry about this. This is the whole thing about doing it live. And as I mentioned, everything I discussed will be in the description below. So let's kick things off with memory cards, because if you're working in 4K, 6K, 8K, you need memory, you need good memory, and memory can be expensive. And so I got you covered there today. So let's pull up the first one. So we'll start off with SD cards. And this is the first SD card deal. Now, Amazon's weird how they're doing this. So to creators, they gave us all the deals beforehand, but you're not going to see the actual discount on the screen, but I want to have it up here to discuss it. So the first one is this SanDisk 512 gigabyte SD card for creators. It's V60. It's going to be like around $40 off this price you see here. So it's going to be a pretty decent deal for a lot of memory. And I think that's why this is the first deal. The price is going to be really great, and it's a lot of memory. And if you use SD cards, it's V60. So most, cameras that use SD cards can utilize V60 for most of the bit rates and recordings. In my FX30 that I use, I can use SD cards that are V60 pretty much in every mode except for the super high-end bit rates in 4K 120 and stuff like that. So V60, very common card. And the next card I bring up is actually going to be a V60 as well, but from OWC. Now let's make sure this gets brought up. This is going to be an even bigger deal. This is going to be $100 off. So this is the OWC Atlas Pro 1 terabyte SD card. So you see the normal price is $259. It's going to be around $150. And so this is a little bit of a better deal than the previous one because it's twice the memory, but it is going to be a little bit more expensive. So if you have the budget, this is definitely going to be the one to get. It's a V60 card as well, and it's OWC. OWC has fantastic quality products, especially if you're a creator, you're into this kind of stuff. This OWC card, great deal. Really nothing else to talk about other than it's a great deal for what you get. I don't want to go too far in on this. And then let's go over to the next deal. Let me pop myself here. And this is going to be interesting getting used to. So the next one, we're going to move on. We're going to move away from SD cards now. We're going to go to CFexpress Type A cards, because again, I'm only doing what are I see the best deals. I'm not covering every deal. There's more deals than you're going to see here. So this is another card from OWC. And again, this is probably the best of the two deals. It's a 480 gigabyte CFexpress Type A card. So if you're using Sony cameras, this is going to be for you. As you can see, the price is $159. You're going to be able to pick this up for around $30 off. So again, the price is actually on here cheaper for a 480 gig card, but it's CFexpress Type A, cheaper than the 1 terabyte card we were just talking about before. And now the difference here, because I know this has less data on it, it's the transfer speeds. Not to mention you can use every single recording mode in a Sony FX30, FX3, A7 IV, the new FX2. You can use all the recording modes, but the transfer speeds are so much quicker in this card that when you go to put it in your computer, you will get the footage off way quicker. And so that's going to be the big advantage of using CFexpress Type A cards. So if you're in the field and you're doing transfers of your footage to maybe your DIT or even your own drive, having the CFexpress Type A card is going to make things a lot quicker. I certainly use them in the field for my Sony cameras. All I use is CFexpress Type A cards. I used to be one of those guys where I'm like, oh, I'll use SD cards or whatever. And then I started getting the CFexpress Type A cards and I saw how much quicker they were in the field. And it's like sometimes at the end of the day, when I'm on set for like 12 hours, I don't want to spend another hour transferring footage. I rather spend like 10 minutes. So these cards let you do that. So this is the first deal on the CFexpress. Oh, what? I forgot to bring it up. So here's the card. So it's the OWC 480 gigabyte card. Sorry, I forgot to bring this up. Again, you can see it right here, 480 gigs. The transfer speeds are just crazy fast compared to SD cards. So I'll leave this up for a second while I go to pick up the next CFexpress Type A card. And again, sorry, I didn't have that up right there. The beauty of doing this live. So here's the next card. So the next card is a CFexpress Type A card as well. This is from Lexar. The price is pretty much going to be very similar to the OWC. It is going to be discounted. However, it's a little bit less storage, so it's 320 gigs, but some people have a brand affiliation towards Lexar. There is a deal here, so I wanted to cover it because this Lexar and that OWC were really the two main CFexpress card Type A deals. So I wanted to bring them to your attention. So now let's move on to CFexpress Type B. And so this is going to be if you're shooting on Canon cameras, Blackmagic cameras, Red cameras. A lot more companies are shooting on CFexpress Type B cards, and they are a little bit cheaper for the most part. Although in this situation, a little bit more expensive for less storage. So this is the card that's going to be on sale from OWC, and this is a 325 gigabyte CFexpress Type B card. It's going to be about $40 off, and pretty good deal. Again, if you need CFexpress Type B, I'm shooting on the Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K right now. This is, this is my only camera that uses CFexpress Type B. And I do really like them for the exact same reason as CFexpress Type A, super quick transfers. So it's really great to have that. Now, there is one more deal on a CFexpress Type B card, and this is again from Lexar. Pulling it up right here. This is going to be a little bit of a better deal. Now, these are actually the cards that I own. Unfortunately, it's in the camera and I don't want to pop it out, but I use the Lexar cards for my Blackmagic. I actually have two of them. I got them for this price that you see right here, the $150 price, and they're going to be around $30 off. So it's going to be cheaper than even I purchased these cards for. So I may actually pick up one of them just to have a third as a backup. Solid cards. I use them all the time. The Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K full frame is my main YouTube camera. And I use these cards on a daily basis to make content with. So I do highly recommend these Lexar cards it is a pretty fantastic deal. Now, let's move on to tripods and gimbals. So the first deal in this area is going to be a tripod. So let's bring this up. This is going to be from SmallRig. So this is a pretty heavy duty tripod. It's going to be around $60 off. And they're doing the SmallRig FreeBlazer heavy duty tripod. Now, I don't personally own this tripod. I have used it and I've messed around with it at NAB and at Build. They're very solid tripods if you have heavy camera setups for the money. You know, normally when you're getting a super heavy duty tripod like this, you're paying multiples of hundreds of dollars. You're not paying $250. So I would say don't expect this thing to run miracles, especially if you get this thing on sale. But if you're running super heavy camera setups, you want a heavier duty tripod. And so this will be a really good deal on sale. Now let's move on to the next option, which is another SmallRig deal. And this is their V-mount batteries. So they're brand new 99 watt V-mount batteries that come in these crazy cool colors, orange. Normally, you know, when I'm out in the field, I don't like having crazy colors, but on set, I love having crazy colors because you can instantly tell that is my V-mount. And there's so many V-mounts on set all the time. It's kind of like one of the more common things, that and gold mount. And so it's nice to have V-mount that stands out. That you can instantly tell from far away it's yours, especially if you're sharing chargers with people, whatever. I've used these V-mounts before. Josh Satin had a bunch of them when he came on set. They charge pretty quickly. They have built-in USB-C, so you don't even have to have a V-mount charger. You can charge it from some kind of power delivery device. If I remember, they took around 68 watts in over the power delivery. Oh, it says right here, 100 watts in. So these new ones take 100 watts in. So, I mean, they can pretty much charge if you have a 100-watt charger in about an hour. So that's pretty quick for this kind of stuff. And let's move on to the next one. Next one is going to be from Zhiyun. Now, Zhiyun is working with me on a video about their, it's really actually not about their Crane 4. It's really in partnership for a Surrey video I have coming out, and I'm using their gimbal as the gimbal with the black magic and the Surrey, especially because you can use a follow focus and this gimbal has a crazy payload. So the Crane 4 is going to be on sale. They made it seem like some of their other products are going to be on sale, but the reason I'm not going to talk about all of their products and just let you know that Zhiyun is going to have sales in the back end, for whatever reason, I could not find the Zhiyun products and what the prices were going to be. So I figured I would just mention them. You'll be able to see them on Prime Day. My guess is it's going to be the gimbals and probably some of the lighting accessories. Like let me pull up the X60. This is a pretty decent light if you're in the looking for super small cob lighting. This kind of stuff is most likely going to be on sale from them. Again, don't know why they're not in the back end of Amazon. I couldn't find them. Amaran was back there, and we'll actually talk about Amaran a little bit later. But just know if you're in the market for some Zhiyun stuff, definitely wait until Prime Day is going to happen, because there'll be some stuff. There'll be some cool stuff. So let me pull up the next deal. We're going to move away from that kind of stuff, and we're going to talk about bags, luggage, all that stuff. So the first product in this category we're going to talk about is this Pelican Vault 525 hard case. Now, wanted to talk about it because I actually have one. Let me move my stuff. I know I'm going to be out of focus right here, but I got the case right here. This is what I keep a lot of my Komodo stuff in. Very heavy duty. And this thing is for carry-on. So let me make sure I'm in focus here. Okay. So the reason I like this case, relatively inexpensive. You can either get it with foam or padded dividers. I have the padded dividers. The reason I like the padded dividers is because depending on the trip, I change up the configuration inside the Pelican case itself. And this is a carry-on case. So you can use this as your carry-on luggage. And so that's why I change it a lot. With the foam, the problem I've had with that in the past is once you cut up the foam to whatever you need, you're pretty much set with that. And if you want to change it down the line, you got to buy new foam. So I would recommend the padded dividers. It's a little bit more expensive, as you can see. It looked like they were going to do deals on all of them, although the best deals, unfortunately, are going to be with the foam over the padded divider one. But that's my recommendation. I would do padded dividers. Some people with super expensive kits want the foam because it's just in there a little bit more secure than the padded dividers. And so I totally get that. And if you're in that situation, you're going to have a great deal on the Pelican 525 with foam. Now let's move on to the next item. Let me go down here. These are actually yet another thing that I do own. Let's talk about the first one. So the first one, I actually have the bigger of these two, and this is the smaller one. So this is the PGYTECH OneMo 25 liter, 233 liter backpack. Actually, no, this is the one I have. I'm sorry. So I don't have the bigger one. So this is the one that I have. It's 25 liter to 33 liter. And the reason they call it 25 to 33 is you can actually expand the front of this backpack, which I use with gimbals pretty much. When I put a gimbal in the front, I extend it a little bit out, and it does carry a little bit more. You can kind of see in this picture right here, that's the extension that you see popping out, and they'll make it into a 33 liter bag. So I have one of those. I'm not going to go grab it. Oh, you know what? It's actually not. Oh, it is out here. I have it right back there. I don't know if you can see it, but I use it when I'm traveling, not by plane, but locally. Now, the reason I don't travel with it by plane is it's big enough to where it does count as your carry-on luggage. And a lot of the times I'm bringing either that Pelican case I just showed you, or I'm bringing a carry-on suitcase. And so I do bring a smaller backpack as my personal item. But when I'm traveling via car, or I'm going out for a gig and it's local, this is the bag I bring because I can fit so much that I'm typically just bringing this bag and that's it. I can fit my camera gear, my lenses, my compact lighting, my gimbal if I need. And then I could put either a light stand or a tripod on the side of the bag. And then typically if I'm doing any types of gigs that involve lighting and they're indoors, I am carrying my light stands, but that's not really that big of a deal because I'm normally just doing 3-point lighting. So the deals on these bags are going to be this 25 liter to 33 liter, which is the one that I have. And then they are doing a deal, which I'll pull up right here, on the other one that's slightly more expensive just because it has a little bit more space, and that is the 35 liter to 45 liter bag. Now, again, I have the smaller of the two. I actually thought I had the bigger one, but I definitely have the smaller one of the two. And I just could not imagine how big this bag is. But I mean, it's $260 normally, and there are going to be some deals. I believe this one's going to be $219. So again, like we're looking at, reasonably decent discounts on a lot of this gear. So let's pull up the next option. So we're going to move over to filters now. So there's two companies doing filters. Two companies doing filters. And we're going to talk about one that doesn't really do these kinds of sales that often first, and then we'll talk about the other one next. So NiSi is doing deals on their true color variable ND filters, and they are fantastic. NiSi is great. I've used them plenty of times. I actually don't currently own any of them. And the reason being is I work with K&F a lot. And it's funny because K&F has a nice little ad right here on the NiSi thing. And they're actually the other company that's doing promotions for Prime Day. So K&F is doing deals as well on most of their filters. So K&F and NiSi, make sure to take a look if you need variable ND filters, mist filters, whatever. They are running promotions. They seem to be the only two companies that are running a wide gamut of promotions on filters. So if you're into filters, make sure to look for those two companies. Again, links in the description below. They're both pretty decent. So now let's move on from filters. I'm trying to move through here so I don't keep you guys here all day. Next is going to be a really decent deal on lighting. So Amaran is going to be running a deal on their 300C. Now, right now it shows that's offline. The normal price is $569, and I know the deal is going to be around $450. So it's going to be a little over $100 off, and it's specifically going to be for this 300C. Now, This is the only light that I saw Amaran was doing a deal on the back end. Maybe they'll do deals on other lights, but this was the only one that was featured on the back end. It is a pretty powerful light, especially if you're filming indoors. It's 300 watts, so it's a 300 RGB Bowens mount light. Very solid. I use a lot of Amaran. I'm actually using an Amaran light right here as my key light. I have a 3-point light kit from Amaran. I have the 200XS. I have the 200D and the 660D. All solid lights. Amaran works really great. The only reason I never purchased these RGB ones is they are a little bit specialty, and I haven't been doing much narrative work lately. And that's kind of where I find these lights work really well, is in narrative work. But for content creators, they're really solid. You can do a huge splash. I mean, all this RGB type of stuff that I'm doing behind me, you could do similar kind of stuff if you get one of these kinds of lights, and they are really powerful for the money, which is why I wanted to cover it, because, you know, over $100 off, it's a pretty decent deal for a light. And any product like this on Prime Day. So that is the really the main lighting deal that I saw. I didn't really see any. I saw like there are a lot of newer products that have Prime deals, but a lot of them were like $10 off, $20 off. And as I said in the beginning of today's video, I'm really only trying to cover stuff at a minimum that's $30 off. And a lot of the stuff is more than $30 off, going towards $100, and only a few of them are a little over $100. Now, let's talk about action cameras and 360 cameras. So those are going to be the next products right here. So the first product we're talking about is the Action 4. I love the Osmo Action 4. It is a solid camera, and they're doing a deal for $200 on the Action 4. So it's going to be around $80 off. And so you'll be able to pick this up brand new, $200. I use the Action 4 for a long time. Stupid me, I got rid of it when I was trying to do a deal with MPB. I traded in like 2 of my Sirui anamorphic lenses and my Action 4, and they gave me nothing for it. They gave me $100, and I tried to get my stuff back and undo the deal, and they would not send the stuff back, which was really unfortunate. That's why I won't really use them anymore. But I really love my Action 4. I regret getting rid of it. I use the Action 5 Pro all the time, and I really would have loved to keep the Action 4 as a secondary camera, because after using the Action 5 Pro, it's really solid. But really, like, the main benefit for me has been being able to have the 2 wireless mics go into the Action 5 Pro. The Action 4 does work with the DJI modern microphone systems. It works with the Mic 2 and the Mic Mini. The difference between the Action 4 and the Action 5 Pro is the Action 4, you can only have 1 microphone wirelessly attached to it at a time. I think for most people, that's not really a big deal, because I think most people, if they're using that camera to vlog, they're filming themselves. They're going to be using 1 microphone. There's like minor color differences, but it has the exact same sensor and very similar body, almost the exact same body to the Action 5 Pro. The screen's just a little bit bigger on the Action 5 Pro and a little bit better, but great deal on the Action 4. So that's the first camera deal. The next one is going to be a little bit more expensive, and it's going to be for someone who's looking to do a little bit more high-end action camera type of work. So Insta360 is doing a deal on the Ace Pro 2. It's going to be, if I remember, it's like $80 off too. So it's going to be just over $300. This is a little bit more of a higher end action camera, especially because you could shoot 8K. It's just got a little bit different features. I personally stick with DJI because I'm in that whole ecosystem, so I like having the same color science. But if this is going to be your only action camera, you don't have other things like Osmo Pockets, whatever, this is going to be a pretty solid deal on the Insta360 Ace Pro 2. Now, the next product, a bunch of Insta360 products, they seem to be doing a lot of deals this year. Next is going to be the Go 3S. Now, the reason I like this camera is just because, as you see right here, you can take this, you can take this thing out of this GoPro looking device and make it a really small camera. Now, I will warn you, I heard there's a new version of this coming out soon, and DJI is coming out with their own mini camera. So if you do buy this, just be aware there may be a new one coming out soon. But it's really cool if you need the smallest camera possible. That's what this is for the money. Then the next item is going to be a 360 camera. So Insta360 actual 360 camera. And so they're doing a deal on the X4. If I remember, it was around $80 off. So it's just going to be just over $300. So the Insta360 X4, if you're into 360, it's probably the time to get it. The only reason I'm not getting it is, again, DJI is rumored to be coming out with their 360 camera. And so I rather get the brand new camera from DJI than this. But if that rumor was not here, because that's rumored to be coming out either later this month or in August, I would be picking this up on this deal. Now, if you don't care about DJI, this is a good deal to be looking into. I just do care about DJI. So let's move on from these deals to, now we're going to do audio. So again, these are one of those things where I only found one audio deal worth covering. This was $50 off, and this is Hollyland Lark M2S combo. Now, I don't have it. I know a lot of people that do. They really like this system. The wireless transmitters are incredibly small, almost mic mini level. And it's going to be $50 off. So you're going to be able to pick this up for $100. So it's a very affordable system if you don't have any kind of wireless audio and you're trying to do it on a budget. This is definitely how I would go on Prime Day. This is the only decent audio deal that I found that was, you know, an actual deal worth covering. So, again, sorry, I didn't pull that up. So here's the Hollyland Lark M2S, really small. Again, a little bit bigger than a DJI mic mini, just because it's got that extra little folding thing on there. It seems like that's where the microphone actually is. But $50 off. Again, only good deal I found for audio. So fortunately, not major audio deals this year for Prime Day, unfortunately, but a deal nonetheless. And then now that was the camera deals I found. So as far as camera gear, actually, sorry, there's one more deal that I had at the end, but I'll pull it up till now because it's going to be actually the last camera related thing. And so I spoke about newer doing deals, and I didn't really cover any of their other stuff except for this. This was the only deal they had that I found worth it. And this is going to be for content creators and videographers who need this type of thing, which is a teleprompter. So this is going to be around $60, $70 off. They're doing this teleprompter. I have a teleprompter. I don't use it all the time, but for specific videos that there's just so much, let's call it technobabble in them, that I just need to be on point and I need to have all my points there. And I just want to be able to do it without messing up a million times. I love having a teleprompter for that. And then of course there's tons of other things. I've used teleprompters on sets, more on like corporate work where, I've had a client who just had this whole spiel and they really needed the teleprompter to be able to get through it and not take an entire day, only take maybe an hour or two. So teleprompter is very useful. And for what they're going to be selling this for, if you don't have a teleprompter and you think you may have a use for one, I would definitely consider picking one up. Again, I keep not bringing these up. I'm sorry, guys. We're live. I keep forgetting. So here's what the teleprompter looks like. You know, it's not the most beautiful teleprompter, but again, it's a deal. It's a deal worth mentioning. It's the one thing that's annoying about some of these Prime days is like some of these deals they make them seem like a deal and they're not. And that's why I'm trying to just cover what is a deal and just cut straight through all the smoke, you know, whatever we want to call it. All right. So that's it for camera deals. Now we're going to move on to computer deals. Now, I know a lot of you have been waiting for this, and we got some good ones this year. So first, we're going to start off with SSDs. So the first SSD, which it seems they always do some kind of Prime deal every year, is a T7. So the T7s are going to be, it's going to be $30 off. So it's not going to be an insane deal, but this is the 2 terabyte T7. Now, what are the T7s good for if you've never heard these before, which by the way, I have a T7. I use a decent amount, mostly when I'm traveling. So T7 is great for on-the-go editing. If you're on a laptop and, excuse me, maybe you're on a MacBook Air or something like I'm using right here, and you don't have a lot of internal storage and you want to be able to edit while you're on the go. Well, these things are fantastic for not just editing on the go, but also maybe you need to store your footage. If you're on some trip, you want to be able to do it quickly. You've got some of the newer cards like CFexpress Type A, B. You could transfer them to these pretty quickly and edit off of these, and they're fantastic. that's how I would use them. I would use them to edit off of storage. I did a whole video recently because of these and how affordable they are. A lot of people were trying to use these as home drive computers, home drive storage, I should say, instead of something like these, which, by the way, we'll get to these. There's some sales on these, one specific model of these. And long story short, I recommend drives like these as a home drive, because when you're doing the whole home drive method, you are taking an external SSD or drive and you are making that a replacement for your internal hard drive. So that means this thing is being used all the time. So if you're going to be using this for more than a 24-hour period and it's going to be constantly reading and writing all the time, you want to be using a drive that has good ventilation. And this thing has no fans, but it's all an entire heatsink. And we'll talk about more in a bit, because I feel like I'm cutting into the T7 time. But that's why I wanted to bring this up, because as you can see how small this T7 is, if you're using this thing for more than 24 hours at a time, this thing can overheat. It's not really meant for that. And so that's why I wanted to just kind of put this disclaimer out there. This is good for hours at a time, not like days and months at a time. But like the second you unplug it and you let it cool down for a bit, it's fine. Not a lot of people have that use case where they're using this for days at a time. Just figured I would mention it because it is worth putting out there. Let me make sure I put that up. Okay, I put that up. Okay, sweet. All right. Problem of being live. Okay, so the next item is going to be for anyone who needs portable SSDs on the go. So this is a Lexar Professional Go portable, and I have a bunch of drives like this, and if I didn't have them already, I'd be picking this one up. What is the use cases for this? Okay, so first and foremost, the biggest use case is going to be if you're doing phone video, because you can hook this up to your USB-C if you have a newer iPhone, and you could take all your video and put it directly to that drive, especially if you're filming in ProRes and Apple Log. It's better to go directly to a drive because you are going to kill your internal memory if you don't. So that's going to be the big use. Now, the use that I have taken drives like that for is instead of having to rely on the Samsung T7s all the time. Now I bring this with me everywhere, but as a backup, I have a drive that's just like this Lexar 1 terabyte, but you don't have to remember to bring cords. As you can see, the USB-C is built in. So I use this to edit off of when I'm on the go. So I have a drive just like this. I edit off of it. And the main thing is I just leave it in my actual MacBook Air, and I just can edit with my MacBook Air on a couch, whatever, not plugged in, and work for hours at a time. So if you're trying to also, again, they're not meant for this, but they work really great. And the transfer speeds are really great. So you can absolutely do this. If you're trying to keep your laptop setup as compact as possible and you need to have an SSD because you just don't want to be editing off of your internal drive, this is a really great option. This is going to be about $30 off. So this is a great option if you're into that kind of stuff, or you want to look into it and not have to spend a lot of money, because the drive that I'm using right now is $400. It is 2 terabytes and not 1 terabyte, but still, this is the same performance as the drive I have. For 1 terabyte, it's going to end up being around $120, so considerably cheaper than what I paid. And it's the same thing. So I would totally look at this if you're into that, or you need to be doing iPhone video. Now, the next item is one that I've been covering for a while, and I just want to let you all know it is specifically this version that's going to be on sale, none of the other ones. So it is the OWC Express 1M2 portable drive that I was just talking about. I got right here, my favorite drive, hands down. It is the best performing drive I've ever had, especially if you're using it long term. It's fast. This is USB 4, Thunderbolt 4. So the speeds are pretty much not double. It's like triple of what the T7 does. So I'm getting read and write speeds over 3,000 megabytes per second on this. And this, it maxes out at 1,000, but really you're at like 800, 900 a lot of the time. So this drive is incredibly fast. Now, the catch here, it is going to be $100 off, but it is the 4 terabyte model, which isn't the most expensive one you can get. As you can see, the most expensive one is $1,100, but it is the second most expensive you can get. So you'll be able to pick this up for $450. Now, the reason I recommend this, because for a long time I've been saying, hey, just go get this super cheap one for 120 bucks and buy your own NVMe drive and do it that way. So you do save a lot of money doing that. But when you're buying your own NVMe drive, you're not getting the guaranteed performance. So for instance, I had to go through a lot of NVMe drives to get the 3000 read and write out of this. There are a lot of NVMe drives that you will not get the 3000 read and write out of this drive right here. And so if you buy the drive that's pre-configured from OWC, you are going to get the guaranteed read and write. You're going to get the best performance no matter what. So you won't have to guess. So if you don't want to do the guessing, you'll be able to get the pre-configured 4 terabyte OWC Express 1M2 for $450. Solid deal. Again, it's still going to be a little bit more than if you went and sourced your own 4 terabyte drive, but at $450, it's not much more, where at $550, it is a decent amount more than sourcing your own drive. So let's move on to the next one. So this is going to be the last of the SSDs, and this is going to be an actual M.2 SSD. So this is the best deal I found. This one is going to be, I believe it was $60 off. This is a Sabrent Q4 2230 NVMe SSD. This is the smaller one. What more to say? 2 terabyte. If you need this size, this was the only deal that I saw throughout all of the SSDs, the NVMe ones, that actually had a deal, because most of them were like $10 off. Some of them were close to 20. To me, that's not like a crazy deal. So this was the best deal I found. Really not much else to say other than this was a deal. All right, so now let's move on to storage media. So this is going to be a little bit different than SSDs, because this is going to be stuff that you use specifically for storage purposes. Great example is going to be this first one, which again, this is the only really good deal I found on these types of drives. Western Digital. So Western Digital is going to be doing a deal on their 14 terabyte Elements desktop external hard drive. So they're going to be selling this. I believe it was either 120 or 130. So a really decent discount. And these are drives that you are specifically storing stuff on. So videos, photos, documents. If you're going to store them and you're not going to be like actively editing video off this, although a lot of the times I do leave one of these plugged into my computer just so I can have access to documents and stuff, this is where to go. I use a lot of these all the time. I have many Western Digital storage drives. I keep a lot of video on them. I'm never editing the video off of them because they're just, the read and writes are so slow on these, and that's why they're so much cheaper for the money. So you can't really reasonably edit video off of them, but you know, I will buy, like, I'll go and I'll have like a high-end narrative shoot and I'll go buy one of these and I'll have to bill the client, and I will keep the entire project on one. And typically there's more room. Like typically I'll do a project and it maxes out at like 10 terabytes, but this kind of deal, you get 14 terabytes for just over 100 when the deals come out. So this was the only deal I saw from Western Digital that had any type of reasonable discount. Everything else is discounted on Prime Day, but there's not a huge discount like you'll see on this 14 terabyte drive. Now, disclaimer, usually when I see these kinds of discounts, it's because they're going to discontinue at some point that size of drive. And it makes sense because now we're up to like 26 terabytes. So 14 terabytes is kind of like in the middle. So they may be trying to get rid of some of those in between sizes, but just keep that in mind. Really great deal for what it is. And now let's go move on to the next one. So, sorry, there's two more in the storage media. So one of them is going to be specifically for MacBook Pro users. Let me pull this up right here. And this is something I actually use in my MacBook Pro all the time. And so this again is storage, not for editing, not for anything other than storage and documents, but this is storage. So this is the Transcend Jet Drive. And what they do is the MacBook Pros have a built-in SD card reader. And there are a certain sect of users that, for whatever reason, don't use their SD card reader. And for me, although I do use an SD card reader, I'm typically using micro SD, especially since I've moved to the higher end cards for some of my other cameras. So an SD card reader doesn't really help me that much because I still have to go get an adapter. So I bought one of these. I bought the 1 terabyte one. It basically just gave me extra storage. It's not very fast. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it and say, oh, these things are blazing. They're not fast. It's like it's saying right here, you get up to 95 megabytes a second, and that's up to. But what it's really great for is if you need just extra storage of documents that are really, although I keep videos and audio on there, it's really more about like Word documents and text-based documents, all that, pictures, all that stuff where I don't really want it taking room on my computer. I put it on this. So this deal is going to be around, I believe it was $25 or $30. So it's going to be just over $100 for this. Decent deal if you need the storage, but it is limiting, especially because this is only for the modern MacBook Pros. So if you have an M1, M2, M3, or M4 MacBook Pro, this one will work with your machine. If you have anything older than that, this will not work. You will have to get one that's designed specifically for your model of MacBook Pro. So do keep that in mind. You do need a modern MacBook Pro for this. But if you don't use your SD card slot and it's just sitting there not being used all the time, this is a great way to utilize that slot and have a little bit of extra storage on your computer. So the next item, I'll make sure we're still here. All right. The next item is going to be for professionals. And this is going to be more like storage and editing. And it is this OWC RAID array is again going to be $100 off. I've actually used these. We use these on Axonar. OWC partnered with us and sent them on loan so we could do this. They're really quick. They are only Thunderbolt 3, but you know, you're using tape-based drives anyway, so you're not going to be able to use the full speeds of Thunderbolt 3 or Thunderbolt 4. These are like spinning disk drives. Although you can use probably SSDs in them, it's kind of like a waste of money. You rather just get the biggest disk drives possible. So for instance, we have this Thunder Bay 4 RAID, and one of them is like 48 terabytes and the other one's 96 terabytes. So it's really great. We have the entire movie on the 96 terabyte one. And it's just easy access, relatively quick, but also redundancy. Like the whole point with RAID is there is a backup for some of the drives. It does a redundancy backup in case it failed. So at least you can get your footage and all your data off of these. So this is definitely the more professional's choice. But I never really see crazy deals on these. And so it's going to be $100 off. So if you're in the market for a RAID array, this is going to be a pretty decent deal. And it's from OWC, which, I mean, they make fantastic products like these. So I would definitely take a look at that. And that's going to be it for storage. Now, let's move on to monitors. So first, let's talk about this first monitor is probably going to be the best deal, especially if you're a laptop user. And this is going to be the Asus Zen screen. It's only a 1080p screen, but it's nice and it's small. It's 15.6 inches. The screen quality is pretty decent. I've messed with one before. And this deal is going to be pretty decent. It's going to be $120 for this screen. So you're going to be able to get a really decent deal on this. And so for me, I'm even at the point where I'm actually probably going to pick this up, especially because the price is decent. I need a secondary screen so I can be editing. Me personally, my use is I typically have my timeline on one screen, and then I have the video that I'm editing in full on the second screen. And so on a laptop, it's kind of hard to do that because you got just the one screen. At home with my multiple monitors, I do that all the time. So for $120, I can have a backup monitor even with my MacBook Air. It's kind of almost a no-brainer. So I am going to be picking this up. The price is kind of too good to be true. And with something like this, I don't know how many they have in inventory before it's going to sell out of the Prime Day deal. So if you're interested in an external, portable monitor, I would jump on this like the first day, because I don't know how long this is definitely the best deal out of all the monitors that I've seen, especially the portable monitors. So we'll talk that's why I wanted to talk about this one first. It also, I believe it gets powered over USB-C, so you don't actually have to then plug in a power cord into this thing too. It's getting powered directly out of the USB-C, so you only have to bring one cable. Since we're on the subject of Asus, They also have one other regular monitor that's on sale, and this is going to be for $100. So it's going to be $60 off, and it's this 25-inch gaming monitor. Again, the monitors we're going to talk about today, they're going to be more on the discount level, because I didn't really see any kind of deals on really expensive stuff, which kind of makes sense. So if you need a 25-inch gaming monitor, Asus has this one. I'll move into the other monitors real quick. Samsung had two really good deals on their monitors. Starting off, they had a 27-inch monitor. This is going to be, I believe, on just under $150. I think it was like $140 for this 27-inch. So again, really decent deal. But this is a 27-inch curved full HD monitor. So it's not going to be 4K, but a lot of PC gamers aren't gaming in 4K. So if you're one of those, or you don't need a higher than 1080p monitor, this is going to be a really solid deal. They also have another deal on one of their a little bit bigger gaming monitors, and it is this one right here. It is their 32-inch Odyssey G3. I have it. It's pretty decent. I also have their 4K one. I have the 4K one that I use for editing on back behind me, and I have this 32-inch in my room, and I just use it to game off of. It's a nice size. I'm using my ROG Ally X, which, you know, I don't game in 4K on that. I game in 1080p. So this screen has kind of been perfect for that. And this is going to be $150. It's going to be about the same price as the 27-inch, but it's not curved. So that's the difference. The 27-inch is curved, and it's about the same price on this deal. This 32-inch is a little more expensive, and it's going to be about the same price, but it is not curved. So those are the deals I found for monitors. Now we're getting towards the end here. So there are 4 more deals. I guess let's talk about this one real quick. So surprisingly, did not see a lot of deals from Anker this year, which normally they're all about it. And they have deals, don't get me wrong, but there's really only one deal that I saw, which is this right here, that was anything substantial. And it's this laptop docking station. So if you have something like a MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, and when you get home, you just want to be able to plug it directly in and it be connected to all your monitors, your USB accessories, have power. This will do that. So it's going to be just over $100. And what this will do is it will charge up to 85 watts. So if you have a MacBook Air, it will completely charge the computer to full in like less than an hour. If you have a MacBook Pro, the MacBook Pro does accept a little bit more in, but I mean, 85 watts will charge a MacBook Pro in like an hour and a half to full. So if you're looking for a docking station, but you haven't been able to afford one, this is definitely going to be like the best deal for docking stations, period. I saw like OWC was doing some deals on docking stations. Some other companies did, but they were so much more expensive and they were all Thunderbolt 3 anyways. I believe this one probably is Thunderbolt 3 or USB-C 2, but you know, at that point, you know, if you're getting a Thunderbolt 3 docking station in 2025, I don't know why you would. Especially, you know, if you're going to be paying $300-$400 for that. It's a lot for Thunderbolt 3, where this is going to be just over $100. It's USB-C, but you get a lot out of it for, you know, just over $100. So I would recommend this as the only docking station recommendation if you're looking for this kind of docking station. If you need Thunderbolt 4, Thunderbolt 5, unfortunately, I didn't see any deals on those kinds of docking stations. So lastly, let's get into Apple. There are 3 deals from Apple this year that are decent. That's it. I mean, they have tons of deals from Apple, but there's really only 3 deals that I would really consider. So let's go to the biggest one first. The biggest one is they are doing a deal on the AirPod Pro 2. Now, I have the AirPod Pros, the original. I love them. These are the ones that have the USB-C charging, which is probably part of the reason why I'm going to end up having to pick these up on the deal. They're going to be $160, so they're going to be $40 off, and you'll be able to get the AirPod Pro 2. So decent deal. They're marketing it that it's going to be, you know, $160 from $249, but really, as we see, it's going to be $160 from $199. So it's really going to be $40 off, but that's going to be one of the best deals. Like I said, I'm going to pick it up. Unfortunately, because I really want to get away from Lightning. These AirPod Pros that I have, they're the only accessory I have left that uses lightning, which means I have to bring lightning with me everywhere because I use them all the time, especially for like meetings and calls, like important ones. I'm using AirPod Pros all the time. I use them to edit audio, especially on the go, or edit audio, video, so I can just kind of be in my own world and hear everything. They're really good. I really like them. Are they the best headphones out there? No, but they're really good in the functionality. If you own an iPhone, you really can't beat them. So this was probably the best deal of all the Apple equipment. Of course, I forgot to bring it up again. I'm sorry, guys. AirPod Pros too. I know. You probably knew exactly what I was talking about, but here we are. It is the USB-C versions, and as you see right here, it's $199. The deal is going to be for $160. They're marketing it as it's originally $250, but really, as we see right here, it's $199. So it's really $40 off. It's not $90 off like they're saying, but it is still a really solid deal. So that is probably the best Apple deal. Then the runner-up Apple deal, which I think a lot of you all may be interested in, is the very most recent iPad mini with the A17 Pro. So this is, I'm pretty sure, the base model with just Wi-Fi. And so you're going to be able to pick this up for $320. So it's going to be around $80 off. Again, this is the most recent iPad mini. It's pretty decent. If you need an iPad, they haven't come out with a new iPad mini since this one. I don't know if they've discontinued them or if it's just one of those things where they stopped making them for a few years and they're going to come back with a new model soon. I don't know. But this is a deal. It's, $80 off. So it is worth noting. It's decent. I don't think I'm going to pick that up, to be honest with y'all. I don't really need an iPad right now, especially I would pick up an iPad if it had the functionality of a laptop, but because it doesn't, especially after seeing a lot of the limitations of editing, even with DaVinci Resolve on the iPad, it's just not for me. But this next one is probably something I'm going to pick up because my Apple Watch is dying. I've had mine for 3 years and the battery is just not keeping up. So they're going to be selling the Series 10 Apple Watches in the 46 millimeter, which is same size I have. They're going to be selling them for $309. So that's going to be $50 off. So if you've been in the market for an Apple Watch, I love bringing these on set, especially because I can just count my steps. On trips, I love bringing them. Whenever I'm doing walking for vlogs, biking, I just like being able to track what I did. So I use them from more of a fitness perspective. But on top of that, a few other things are like, okay, so I'm on set and I get a phone call. Typically my phone's on silent anyways, but instead of, having to bring out my phone, if I see I got a call, whoop, I see, okay, not important. Or it's like, oh, important. Hey, I need to step out for 2 seconds. Or I get a text message in, again, my phone's on silent. Instead of having to pull out my phone in front of everybody and look at the text, I could at a quick glance be like, oh, not really important. I'll get to it later. Or like, oh, important. And I've got a lot of functionality with the iPhone that you don't really have that functionality with the iPhone with a lot of the other smartwatches. You get certain things like you can see text messages. I get it. But as far as like responding and doing all that stuff, the functionality is so fluid on these. And again, since my watch, the battery is kind of dying, like it doesn't last me a whole day anymore. I'm probably going to take advantage of one of these sales just because it's going to cost a little bit more to get a newer one, but at least I'll have a warranty on it where like this thing, the warranty is way gone. This guy's over. So yeah, but anywho, that's it. Those are the deals I have for Prime Day 2025. If you're a filmmaker, content creator, you're into computer stuff in general, I'm probably going to do another video just dedicated to M4 Mac Mini, MacBook Air, MacBook Pro users. There's some products that I didn't cover in today's video just because it's really going to be more for the hardcore computer user. There may be some crossover, which is why I covered some of those products in today's video. But there's some things that just didn't make sense to do in today's video. So if you're interested, definitely stay tuned for that. I'll probably do that on Monday. And it's going to be a little bit shorter than this. Definitely not as many deals for the computer stuff as far as real deals compared to the camera gear, which is a first, because normally I'm looking and the camera deals are like negligible compared to the computer stuff, but I guess a lot of stuff's going on sale this year. So I do want to thank you all for joining me today. This was a live stream, although I didn't really do much interaction. So PG, thank you for coming on, man. Boomer Grown, thank you. No, thank you. Thank you. Much appreciated for y'all joining me live. This was fun to do. It was a lot of searching through a lot of these deals. Like as I said earlier, there's a lot of like deals that were just not deals. So I wanted to cover what I thought, if you're a filmmaker, content creator, heavy computer user, what are the best deals, and that was it. So if you saw anything you liked, I have everything in the links in the description below. If you got knowledge and value out of today's video, please make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell to keep up to date on the latest videos from the channel. And if you have any friends that you think would benefit from anything you saw in today's video, make sure to share this to a friend. And if you picked up anything, let me know in the comments below. What did you pick up on Prime Day? There's a few days this year to do so. So definitely try to act on the first day for some of these really, really, really great deals. As I've seen in the past, a lot of these great deals only last on the first day, and then the next few days are kind of just, it is what it is. So again, I appreciate you all for joining me. If you watch this after the fact, make sure to hit that subscribe to keep up to date when I do go live, so you can see these things live if you have any questions that you want to get some interaction with me on. But again, that's it for today's video. So again, thank you all for joining me. My name's Jeff Fagan. I'm looking for my ending video because I don't use StreamYard that much anymore for live streaming, really just podcast recording. So yeah, found it. Well, thanks again, guys. I'll catch you in the next video.